Hey friends, today we're here at the Elks Theater, the historic Elks Theater, in fact, with Curt. He's the owner. Tell us a little bit about the history of this place.
Well, it was originally built in 1912 as an Elks Lodge and Opera House, kind of a big deal in Rapid City. So the Elks Lodge had it from 1912 until 1920. A gentleman named Art Rose bought it at that time. He owned it for 5 years and sold it to Black Hills Amusements, and those folks operated it from 1925 to 1969.
And was it a theater at that point still?
Yeah, so when it was built, it was a vaudeville house, but they knew that these things called silent movies might catch on. So they did build a projection booth, which was fortunate for the building. And in 1928 is when talking movies came to Rapid City. Black Hills Amusements in 1969 sold it to Commonwealth Theaters, which was a national chain at that point in time. They operated it 15 years-ish, and then they sold it to another national chain called United Artists. They operated it for a very short amount of time and then closed the facility. And while it was closed for that brief amount of time, some water lines had froze and broke and filled the entire main floor. Luckily for Rapid City, a couple by the name of Doug and Lori Andrews bought the theater and started putting time and energy into it and bringing it back to life, and that would have been 92. I started in April of 94.
So you basically worked here and then took over the ownership.
Which would have been August of 2008. We just turned 110 on June 6th.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love this building, and I truly think it's an asset to not just downtown, but Rapid City in general, in large part because of the generational thing that it has. Even in my 28 years here, I've met little kids that are now adults bringing their little kids, and to see great-grandparents and grandparents coming in with their family saying, I remember back in 1951 we watched this Fred McMurray movie here. And so it's tough to mimic that kind of connection with new construction.
Sure.
We call this the event theater.
Okay.
We hold a lot of events in here outside of just movies. That is our bread and butter, and that's primarily what we do. But we do host concerts and dance recitals and special screenings and convention meetings and things like that. This seats just under 600.
And you mentioned the audio in here is pretty robust.
Yeah, we have the state's only bi-amped Dolby Digital 7.1 system. And more importantly, we have the knowledge to set it up correctly. So our sound system is quite notable. And then you pair it with the largest screen in South Dakota, and it really is an event when you come to a movie.
And then you have the stairs. Talk about that room.
So that's the old ballroom. It was originally built in 1912 as the ballroom for the Elks Lodge. The history of that space, there's been a lot of stuff in it. We, mean myself and Doug and Lori, acquired it in 1999 and converted it into a very cool little 100-seat theater while keeping as much of that history that room has in it. It is a bit of a hike to get to it. We had to install a stairwell that has 53 steps to get us up there. The good news is once you get up there, everything you need is up there. I've got 3 kids myself, and there's a lot of times where if you go out with your whole family, it can be ridiculously expensive, even for something simple like going to a movie. And that's something that we've always really been conscious of, trying to provide the best movie-going experience at a price point that really is accessible to everybody.
Yeah, this building is just so neat because you walk in and you can almost just like feel the history, because like it's like the smell and the look and the feel of it, you can just sense it all.
I fell in love with it right away. Just the energy in this place. Like you said, you can feel the history in it, and they just don't make buildings like this anymore, especially theaters. So it's been a challenge to retain as much of the historical significance of the building while making it current with new technology and new amenities. Trying to find that balance is something that we take pretty seriously. So. Yeah, 110 years. You gotta give props for that, for sure.
Nice, very cool. All right, Curt, I think that's all we have for you today, so
Okay.
thanks so much.
You bet, thank you.
Yeah.